While it may be cold outside, things are getting toasty warm at Global Voice Broadcasting. Heat up your winter nights with the hottest topics, the hottest celebrities, and today's best music. It's why Global Voice Broadcasting is becoming your 24/7 home for the music and talk you want right now. Discover your favorite shows and music anytime at globalvoicebroadcasting.com.
I highly recommend Ms. Hicks. Her books, her CDs are encouraging.
I bought her book, A Hill to Climb. She's a very inspirational speaker.
And I look forward to one day being able to work with her.
Your power lies within you. Let it loose.
Aspiration, inspiration, motivation, edification, determination. These are the keys of life success brought to you by none other than award-winning author, motivational lecturer, business consultant, and much more as she gets you aimed to your purpose. And now, ladies and gentlemen, young and elder, from Hollywood to the entire world, here is your host of Aim to Purpose, the radio show, Louise Hicks, along with her co-host, yours truly, Kenan Wesley Mason.
Hello, world. Welcome back. I'm Louise Hicks, your host of Aim to Purpose, the radio show, along with my son and co-host, Kenan Wesley Mason. And we hope you all had a wonderful Merry Christmas. And guess what? We're looking at a new year. 2015 is up and coming.
It's upon us.
It's upon us. And it seems like the year went by so fast. But today is December 29th, and it's our last show on the air for this year. And we decided to go global, really global, because we're going to the UK today.
Yes.
All the way to the UK. And we have a special guest with us today. And Mika the Diva will be back with us, of course, with some news. She's out now gathering everything up to end the year, and she'll be back with us January 5th. So with that being said, we are going to go ahead and introduce our guest, and she's Skyping in all the way from the UK, Miss Sharon Bull. So, Ken, go ahead and tell us about Sharon.
And before I get to that, I just want to say hello, world, as well. As I always say, or try to say as much as possible, that when we're driving you home here on the Western Hemisphere, we're also taking you to work on the Eastern Hemisphere. And we want to thank all of you for joining us on Global Voice Broadcasting, Aim to Purpose, the radio show, since July... What is it?
July
the 7th.
That's 7, 7, and 14. Look at all those sevens. 7, 7, and 2 sevens make 14. That's when we started, and we've just been delighted to have you all here globally with us because we've had some dynamic guests from all across the world.
Yes, we have, and we're going to have many more dynamic guests for the new year to come in 2015. So with that being said, for 30 years, Sharon Bull lived with depression and low self-esteem, which eventually nursed an uncontrollable shopping addiction, anxiety, panic attacks, stress at work. She's been through it all. But after a shock redundancy rocked her world, things had to change, and fast. Losing everything and $50,000 in debt, her drinking, excess eating, and contemplation of suicide took over for the next 12 months. Constant sleepless nights and a never-ending bombardment of phone calls from creditors made things unbearable until she finally took the first steps to recovery. After pushing her shame to one side and sitting down with close family, who for quite some time had sensed there was something radically wrong, she began to rebuild the purposeful and happy life she is now living. 3 years later, and working as an inspirational speaker/writer, her audiences are growing fast, whilst her experiences of recovery seem to be a source of joy, enlightenment, and motivation to others. With that said, we want to welcome, and all of you welcome, to Aim to Purpose, the radio show, Miss Sharon Bull.
Hello, Sharon. How are you today?
Hello. Can I just say before I say anything else, thank you so much for having me on your show. And just to say thank you to Kenan and to Louise. It's lovely to speak to you from Chesterfield in Derbyshire in England.
Wow.
And we're so
it's amazing what technology can do.
That's
yes,
right.
Yes, it is. And we're so happy to have you here today because ending the year on something happy and a bright note is awesome. We know that all of us have had challenges in life and had our ups and downs, but today we're going to talk about there is a way and helping others to find happiness because we know that's what you've done. You have realized that there is a way. And based on your bio, which was just dynamic and awesome, because when you've gone through something, experience, I always say, is an excellent teacher. And what you've gone through, what a better way to end the year and help someone else to be happy and to go into 2015 with joy, peace, happiness, prosperity, all of the good things that you've encountered in life. And you tell us what happened. You lost everything. And what put you into this state of depression, Sharon?
2010 was when I lost everything. I had a shock redundancy in 2010 after working for a company for 13 years. And because of that, I had got financial problems at that time, but I'd actually sorted out a payment plan. Everything was fine. I thought I was getting there, and then the shock redundancy just brought everything. My world just collapsed, and I lost my home. I just literally lost all the material things. Shall I say that? The things what we think is important.
That's right.
When in actual fact, they're not that important really in the scheme of things. So I lost everything, but in actual fact, in losing everything, because I'd spent 30 years, it was a bit of a charade, really. I was actually being somebody that I really wasn't for 30 years. And I think when I actually lost everything and I had time to breathe and look back, I hadn't been at all happy, really. So that's when I started to think things through. I started to work out what my fears were, work out what my demons were, and by thinking what those were and realizing what those were, I was able to overcome them, and it helped with the recovery.
And that's a good thing, what you said, work out your fears and your demons to find that, because that is really what helps us to get that jump start to move us to the next level of our life. Now, we had, some time ago, we had a chiropractor and Vonda Smith and Dr. Morrison on our show, and they were talking about how our childhood comes into play with a lot of the things that we experience later in life. How can you expound upon that? Do you think these fears and the challenges you faced, did your childhood come into play as a result?
Not particularly, not my childhood. I had a fabulous childhood. I had wonderful parents. I had a wonderful younger sibling, and we were very close, brother and sister. However, I do know that it was something in my late teens what I've carried around with me. So I totally agree with that. I had my very first depression as an 18-year-old. And at that time, which was the sort of late 70s, we talk about the stigma of mental health. The stigma was more severe then than it is now. Now, my parents didn't know what was the matter with me. They thought I was just going through some teenage blues. And it wasn't until they came home one evening to find me in the corner of the living room with my head crouched down, shaking, trembling, and they said, this is it, we have to take you somewhere. So they took me to the doctors, and the doctor assigned me to a psychiatrist. Now, this psychiatrist, I don't know. I'm not going to start calling, the medics or anything, because I know I've had some wonderful experiences with the medics. So I'm not here to judge anyone. And I don't know why he did this, but there was 2 sentences that he said to me when I went to see him. I'd been to a few visits, but it wasn't this particular psychiatrist. And the last time I went, he said to me, "No man will marry you. Men do not marry women looking like you." Now, as an 18-year-old, I flew out of his surgery in absolute bits. And had I not had somebody with me, I don't know what I'd have done.
Oh, yeah.
So I think I know now, I've carried that around with me for near on 30 years without realizing it. And what I've been doing is trying to prove to myself that I am the female that people will want and admire and want to be with, if you can understand me.
Right.
Oh, yes.
You want to make that psychiatry eat his words.
And you certainly have, because we're looking at this beautiful woman on our screen right now.
Yes.
Of you in your leopard skin, with your hair beautifully done, your makeup, you look gorgeous. So it goes to show you, people, even the experts, so-called experts, they can damage us for life, not realizing what they're doing. And thank God you had some insight into who you were yourself and able to get the help you needed to come out of this.
And Sharon, really quick, because this is a global transmission, to be clear, shock redundancy, because I was kind of looking this up before coming on the air with you, shock redundancy would be the equivalent to being unemployed. Am I not correct?
Absolutely, yeah. And when I say shock redundancy, it was a redundancy that wasn't expected.
Right. That's right.
So
it was almost like you were laid off, how we would say that out here in the States.
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And also, reading your bio, it said you had an uncontrollable shopping addiction. Now here, really quick. Now here in the States, that would be considered a mental disorder.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
I would go with that. It is a mental disorder.
That's right.
As any addiction is.
Right. And well, it's been labeled here in the States as a mental disorder. It's called compulsive buying disorder. And
right. Okay.
and here's how far that goes. There's a medication for that as well. And that medication is what they would use for people with Alzheimer's disease. Right. So having a shopping addiction, it seems that something that would seem really minor. People love to shop. I mean, it's the holiday season for most people here in the States. No one says that they have shopping addictions, and we spend all of our money on holiday shopping.
Absolutely. Well, the thing is, I mean, when I do the talks and I talk about the shopping addiction, very often people sort of smile and say, well, most women do have a shopping addiction. Yes, and I go with that. But it's when it actually turns into something a little bit more severe. And one of the stories that I tell is I used to have a favourite shop that I used to go to, which is actually closed down now. It closed during the last recession. And I used to go in there and I would take 3 or 4 dresses into the changing room and try them on. But like most normal people would actually say, right, I'll take this one. After trying 3 or 4 dresses, I would walk out with all of them. Right. And they would be extremely expensive. And then I would go home and feel physically sick because I didn't know why I'd done it. Yeah. So that's when it becomes what I would say in control. You know, you're not in control.
Right.
And that is an addiction.
Yes.
You know, not an enjoyment.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And you did it throughout the year. It wasn't just like the shopping addiction we have now during the holiday time, Valentine's Day, and what else? Easter. You name all the holidays, and people do have a shopping addiction. However, they don't call it mental illness, but we do go into shock. Most people do after the holidays because they have had a mental illness during that shopping spree. Because when they start getting those bills that come in, that's when the breakdown comes, and people do go into panic attacks because they realize they have really spent more than what they could have afforded or more than what they have to spend. And that often happens. So, but the people that really have it are the ones that were doing what you were doing, right? You were shopping all the time. And sometimes what people do over a period of time really could run into what you do one whole year. Some people can do it just during these various holidays.
Absolutely. And I do think we grow up in a world that encourages to be competitive, encourages that happiness is about more and material things, when in actual fact it's not.
That's right.
Yes, money can sort of help you and does make you happy, but it's not a permanent happiness. You know, at the end of the day, your happiness is from within.
That's right.
And if you're not happy within, then, you know, going out shopping is only a short-term fix.
That's right. It's just like someone with an eating disorder.
Absolutely.
You're feeling sour and you have the blues, so you want to sweeten up your life by eating things that make you feel sweet.
Absolutely. I mean, the thing is, there's an awful lot of us. You know, in the UK, we talk about 1 in 4 people will suffer from some form of mental illness at any one time. Now, that's an awful lot of people. And to me, that's an awful lot of people wandering around, going to work, going about their daily business that are not happy with themselves. Because that kind of that's what triggers stress, you know, and mental disorders, basically.
That's right.
And you're right about that, the mental disorders, and we know that we have so many labels put on everything now. There's a label for this, a label for that, and a lot of these labels, we label it, and then we want to start medicating people with all these various labels that come forth. And you mentioned something earlier that we live in such a judgmental society, and I'm sure with you mentioning that happens in the UK. I believe that's a global thing where we are so judgmental of other people with whatever their challenges may be, without looking within ourselves to see that all of us have challenges. So why are we so judgmental on each other? And no matter what type of challenges we face, a lot of times, I know often here in the U.S., professional experts are so quick to give you a pill for everything. And I don't know how it is in the UK, but we are walking around now being such a pill-popping society, and everything is labeled mental illness when sometimes it's not really a mental illness. It's just something you're going through in your life, and you do have to seek within yourself to find that happy medium or that balance in life so that you can get the happiness that you need. And I know you are working with people, and you say there is a way. Now, what are you doing? You've transformed your life, so how are you helping other people to transform their life?
Well, just firstly, before one of the biggest compliments I had at one of the events I did recently, after I'd been speaking, and people come up and ask questions, and one of the biggest compliments I had, a lady came to me and said, "This is brilliant because you are real." And I've had many compliments, but that will live with me, because that's what I want people to feel. You know, here is someone that's been through it, that's come out the other side. So if Sharon can do it, so can I. And that's the message that I'm trying to get through to people, that there is a way out. You don't have to be on the pills all the time. I mean, I was prescribed Prozac, or I have been prescribed Prozac on 3 or 4 occasions. I don't take any pills now. My recovery has been a combination of things, really. It's been actually finding out what my fears are. It's liking myself instead of comparing myself to other people all the time. But I've done that through mindfulness, through meditation, through getting back to what I used to love when I was a child, to focusing on my passions. And the wonderful thing about it is my passions now are part of my new career. So I love writing, I love speaking, I love getting out there and being with people. I love poetry, I love nature, I love wildlife, I love, you know, and all these things have now become a part of my life, so much so that they're actually becoming a career. And the amazing thing is, when I actually go out and do the talks, people associate with so many parts of what I'm talking about. They walk away so uplifted. Another compliment I had a few events ago, and it wasn't long ago, somebody actually emailed me and said, after seeing you, my life has changed. Now that means an awful lot to me.
Oh yeah,
It has to.
it would mean a lot to anyone that is giving of themselves to a population that may be down on themselves. They may have their own psychiatrist telling them that no one will want them, or using what psychiatrists do, which is a certain type of mind manipulation, which is pretty easy when you're transferring those messages to someone of
That's vulnerable,
vulnerable, and teenagers are very impressionable at that age, and it would be a lot easier to tell them something and they believe it, and transfer it into their and transfer it into their adulthood.
Absolutely. I mean, I think society, we are in a society, and I think this is global, where the young ones are being bombarded with advertising and how to look like this and you need to look like that, and you need to be a size 0, and you need to be this, and you need to be that. And, you know, it's no wonder that there is so much, you know,
chaos,
mental health
and
issues.
mental, yes,
no
it
wonder.
is. And you said something which leads right into what you just said. Also, you were talking about were you saying you were comparing yourself with others? Is that what you were doing? Because that's why a lot of these things are happening. Like you said, all the advertisement of people looking like this and looking like that. And then you do start to compare yourself because you don't understand, and we need more parents to have a better understanding of these challenges too that these teenagers are facing. So were you doing that, comparing yourself and feeling you weren't good enough in this type of situation?
Absolutely. I was doing that all the time, and not just about my appearance, but it would be with my career as well. I get a promotion, and then I think, oh well, I need to be better than this. I need to be like this person. So I was always reaching out to better myself and be this person. And I think it all stems back to the psychiatrist and, you know, these words that, you know, no man will marry someone like you.
Yes. Words are powerful.
He was just going by my appearance, because at the time that I went to see, I get him, you know, I was quite way out at that time, but then I was only sort of 19, and I think we do sometimes dress for a statement at that age. So
yeah, absolutely. We want to be noticed at that age.
Absolutely.
We want to be noticed. We want people to. We want the attention. We want people to. If people aren't talking about you in some way, shape, form, or fashion, then you're almost non-existent.
Absolutely. No, I do think we're easy to judge people by their appearances as well, or judge people because they don't actually. I don't know. There seems to be judgment in terms of if people don't, they're not sort of in your lifestyle or not doing the things that you want to see the world doing. Then it's so easy to judge people.
That's right.
Which is again something that we all need to look within ourselves and question why.
Yes, we do. And that's one of the problems is about being authentic. And so we had a guest on here that talked about that as well, being authentic. And that's what happens often. We're not authentic because we are comparing ourselves to others. We want to be like so-and-so. And it's okay to allow other people to influence you. However, you need to realize you are who you are and who you're born to be. And that's one of the reasons that I believe that I was motivated to do Aim to Purpose, the radio show, and I've often spoken of it on the show, how this came to me one morning at 4 o'clock in the morning. I just woke up and I came up with Aim to Purpose, which is for aspiration, inspiration, motivation, edification, and determination. And the purpose is pursuing urgently realistic potential opportunities successfully envisioned, because often we think we have a lifetime to pursue our dreams and our goals. And I admire young people who are coming into a consciousness and awakening to realize their power is really within them instead of looking externally to find themselves, because it doesn't work, and that's what creates some of the mental illness. And parents don't understand sometimes how to start those challenges of the young people from really, I believe it starts from infancy. From the day you're born, you should start.
That's right. That's right. I have a 4-month-old daughter, and I've been teaching her as best I can from birth that whatever you teach a child, they're going to mimic what you do. So my job as a parent is to teach them in a way that where they can function and make their own decisions based on the things that I've taught her and her mother as well. And that way they can formulate better ideas of which direction they wish to go.
Absolutely. I mean, I do think it needs to start with parents, yes. And I also think there needs to be changes in schools.
Oh, yes.
I mean, I really do. I mean, I know myself, again, just going back to, I say 30 years, but particularly sort of like when I became, when I was a sales executive, I was walking around mindless, as I call it. I was just, looking for materialistic things all the time, which I thought created happiness, and it actually doesn't. And since the redundancy and since I've turned my life around, I am now the person, nobody's perfect, and that's something that I also always say. Nobody's perfect, and I'm still learning, to be the person that I want to be. But my authentic self is coming through now. I am not trying to be anybody else other than me. And if, you won't get everybody to like you.
That's right.
And that's okay. And you should accept that and be okay with it. Do you know what I mean? So,
it's not meant for everyone to necessarily like you. You can have your opinions about certain issues, and some people may agree and some people may disagree.
Absolutely, absolutely. Something I always say is you may not be able to change the world the way you want it to be, but if you're making the changes within your life, positive changes within your life, which is how you want to see the world, then some people will follow you without judging them.
That's right.
People will follow you. They'll be inspired by what you're doing.
Yeah.
If they're positive changes that you're making, then people will follow you.
That's right. And it's all about what resonates with the individual that will influence them, because like my mom said, you can only influence people. You can't control them. The only person that can control you is yourself. So when you make the decision to take control of yourself, then that's when your world changes and people will gravitate to what you want to see your world to be.
Absolutely. When I was just a little story witch, so I know where people are coming from, and I know where your mum was coming from with that, because in 1999 I packed in a smoking habit, which was 20 a day smoking habit.
Wow.
And I packed in because I actually wanted to. Nobody forced me into packing in. I decided I'd had enough of breathlessness when I had to climb a few flights of stairs. However, before that time, I used to, it wasn't all completely non-smoking then, but I used to boycott any restaurants or cafeterias that were non-smoking, because I would think, how dare they tell me how I spend my life.
That's right.
And so I get that. So
yeah.
I think it's influencing rather than trying to control and force people.
Rather than trying to force people to, for example, out here, they have a lot of restaurants here where people have made it a point to try to push legislation on whether there should be smoking in a restaurant, or whether you have to go outside, or whether you should smoke at all, or whether you should smoke every day. I mean, everyone has to make their own decision on if smoking makes you feel good. Hey, have at it. I'm not the one to judge. I just know that smoking cigarettes may not be for me, but they may be enjoyable to the next person.
And that's
at the end of the day, it's the judging. We need to realise we're all one. We're all different, but nobody's any better.
That is so true. That is so true. And that's where the problem comes in sometimes. And I would like to chime in on that about judging, because often people want to do their thing, what it is they want to do. Like, for an example, you mentioned the smoking. Now, I'm a non-smoker, have been a non-smoker all my life. And the thing that has gotten me with the smoking situation that you mentioned is people that don't smoke. It appears that some people, not all, that do smoke, they want to infringe upon you because you don't like the smoking. Because I've had people and I'm glad they outlawed it in restaurants, because I figure like this, it's your business if you want to smoke, but why infringe upon somebody else's right to not have the smoke and not be able to smell it? So that's where we come in with the being judgmental. I don't mind a person smoking if that's what they want to do, even though they said they've proven that it affects your health. It has an adverse effect upon your health. But if they want to do it, fine. But I just don't want myself to be infiltrated with it, since I am a non-smoker. But you can do what you want to do. And that's why people shouldn't be judging. I'm not going to judge you because you smoke, but don't judge me because I don't smoke.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
And that's where the problem is.
I've made quite a few changes with my life over these past few years. I meditate, as I've said, I practice mindfulness. I also have become vegetarian. I've never been a big meat eater anyway. Really from a child, but I decided to actually become vegetarian. But again, I will not stand on ceremony, and for people who eat meat, that's fine if that's what they want to do.
That's right, because it's not about control, and we live in a society where the few want to control the masses, and that's one of the issues that often comes up. We hear all these things that's going on. We know everything is going on now. We hear about the Sony situation, the police killings. It's so much going on now. Until we just live in a global, chaotic It's just a chaotic world. And you said something that was key to it. Each one of us has to look in the mirror and see who we are, and is that the person you really want to be? And you also said another key issue about schooling, education.
Yes.
Education is a key role into what is going on right now. And that first education should come from the home environment, because you are, as parents, the first teachers of your children. And I believe some parents have relinquished their responsibility to teach their children. They send their children off to school and they think the teachers are there to be parents, and they're not. They are there, and we know, I don't know what the statistics are in England, the UK, about the educational system, but I know here in America, our educational system is very low compared to other civilized countries in the world. And it's sad, but it appears
in comparison, it's apples and oranges.
Yes, it's apples and oranges. And it's sad because our children, the educational system here in America has really failed our children. And now it's really up to the parents. If you want your children to be consciously aware, we need to take an active role and make sure our children. So I'm glad that we have this opportunity to speak with you, because there is a way and to find happiness. And you talked about conscious, what is it called? Conscious mindfulness. What exactly is mindfulness, and how do you help others to understand what mindfulness is?
Just before I will talk about mindfulness, I am not, I'm not qualified in mindfulness, but I have been trained in mindfulness, as in I have been to workshops, I've been to classes. So, however, and I've read thousands of books. Mindfulness and meditation, I'm constantly snapping myself back into the present moment, and that is what keeps me more happy. So when I feel that I'm drifting off down the rocky road of mind thoughts that's taking me on a negative route, then I will bring myself back as often as I possibly can. Hey, you're not going down that route, back over here, back to the present. And that's the simple way of talking about mindfulness. And that's largely what it is to constantly keep being mindful of your present moment and being conscious of what you're doing. So in other words, then it makes you conscious of your actions, of how you speak to people. What I have found, because as I was recovering from sort of like my 2010 was a nightmare year for me, and I was very angry inside. I was really poorly, and I was very angry inside, and I would snap at the slightest thing and get really cross with myself, and really cross with people, with family. What's happened now with mindfulness, I actually think it kind of helps you to think before you actually take an action. So your actions have been thought through first. So you don't do things at an instant. Sort of like it's the fight or flight situation, which we have, where we either run or we attack. So
right.
I found that I am I'm much more calm as a person.
And being mindful is being more focused and bringing things back into reality and just being focused. And that makes a lot of sense how you explained it. Very well explained.
And with that, Sharon, stay right there. We're going to take our first break and then come right back. When we come back, we want to talk to you about the film clip that we have, and you can explain where that or how that came about, and we can talk about that and go from there. So stay right there, and we'll be right back.
Okay.
Hey folks, it's Ken here. If you or someone you know around the world has a small business, organization, or foundation you'd like to share with the Aim to Purpose audience, showcase it here on our segment of the show called Small Business Monday. The opportunities for people around the world to browse, buy and use your products and services are endless. We pre-screen all businesses, organizations, and foundations for legitimacy, but because this is a free community service brought to our audience, it's at no cost to you as well. You heard it right. It's absolutely free and you don't have to pay 1 penny. How do you like that? You just come on down to the studio and tell the story of your business, organization, or foundation and give it the praises and accolades you know it deserves. If you're in another part of the state or country, or if you're in another part of the world, you can easily call in or Skype in and do the same. So what are you waiting for? Contact the show's publicist, Shamika Brown, at www.divinebrownmedia.com. She can also be contacted at 1-818-533-8463 or contact Louise Hicks at www.louisehicks.biz. She can also be contacted at 1-562-310-1495. Allow yourself to be seen by the global masses and allow your business to shine and grow because of the global masses. It's Small Business Monday, courtesy of Aim to Purpose, the radio show.
Hello, world. We're back. Once again, I'm Louise Hicks, your host of Aim to Purpose, the radio show, along with my son and co-host, Ken Wesley Mason. And we are talking with Sharon Bull from England, the UK, and we're talking about there is a way, helping others to find happiness, because we know there's a saying that is, wherever there's a will, there's a way. And I believe wholeheartedly in that one. Wherever there's a will, there is a way. And Sharon certainly has the will, from what she has gone through and how she's come to this happy medium now and knows who she is. And she's doing wonderful things to help others. And we just left off talking about mindfulness and how you have to stay focused and be in the now so that you can be a better person. And Sharon, we know you wrote this beautiful poem. Now, I love poetry too, and I write poetry sometimes. But we want to share this poem, particularly since we are closing out the year with your show. We just decided to go across the ocean and do a show and kind of come back to the U.S. We are here in Global Voice Broadcasting Studio in Hollywood, California. So, and you're over in England in the UK. So what we want to do is share your poem with the world, because it's so appropriate, I believe, now, what you have written, and it's beautiful. And how what we're going to do is go ahead and show the poem, and we're going to come back and talk with you about it.
Okay.
Our hearts feel like lead, the papers fill us with dread. It's the thought of the misery and pain, the increasing conflict, the hurt that we inflict can only be classed as insane. We fight with each other, we destroy, not discover, we kill, we maim, we command. We let others suffer so we can look tougher, we pillage, we extinguish, we demand. And the gasps and the sighs as we see through our eyes the devastation we cause to our land. The majestic we cull so that pockets are full, from the sale of ivory and fur to look grand. And why is it we feel that it's okay to steal the beauties that live in our ocean? For pure entertainment we allow their containment, with no thought for their hurt or emotion. We believe God is our role, with the need to control every creature, the land and the sea. We domineer and we boss, with disregard for the loss, yet the right way is to love and let be. Because we know there's a way and we can change from today. We can help to enrich others' lives. We know there's a way, there is only one way. We've already proved that this one deprives. Whilst we live this old way, limitation will stay, yet there's more than enough to go round. If greed continues to breed, is seen as a way to succeed, we're as doomed as the earth's sacred ground. But we know there's a way, and we can start from today. Love can be the change to all of our lives. We know there's a way, and there's no other way. We've already proved that this one deprives.
Sharon, that was absolutely beautiful. What a way to end the year and bring in 2015. Beautiful. How did you come up with this? Because you talked about the insanity, the hurt, and how we all should realize by now what you're saying, that this way that we're going now deprives. And we do have enough to go around. So how did you come up with this beautiful poem?
Absolutely. I wrote the poem last year, the beginning of last year. Actually, I'm saying that it's January this year. I apologise. I'm getting really confused. It's January this year. It's
That's okay.
You were close, so it's okay.
I was close. January this year, and I actually wrote it after hearing about. I am an animal lover, and I've been an animal lover since being a child.
Yes.
If I sat and watched the cowboy films with my father, and there was a battle going on with the cowboys and Indians, I'd sit there and go, I hope the horses are going to be all right. I wasn't too bothered about the cowboys.
Right.
I've always been that way. And I heard about the annual dolphin hunting in Taiji, Japan, and it absolutely devastated me, because I've been a lover of dolphins since being a child. And I also then delved into it and heard about the link to captivity, the fact that they're calling it tradition, but yet they are transferring some of these dolphins to dolphinariums and marine parks for hundreds and thousands of dollars. So, I'm thinking, okay, tradition, I think maybe be turning into greed. So I also love elephants and rhinos, and what I would hate to see is this world without those animals existing, and we are getting so close to this, and I think that's what triggered the poem. So that's what the poem is about. You know, we've got to change the way we behave because there's a lot of species virtually, you know, they're at the verge of extinction.
Well, we had a guest a couple of weeks ago, Sangeeta Iyer, who did a documentary about the abuse, the physical abuse and psychological abuse of the elephants in India, and how they're being and how they're being treated to do certain rituals in the name of certain religions or cultural rituals and whatnot. Here you have the in your bio, it talks about the senseless dolphin slaughter. We know that dolphins have a brain capacity that is, as we know right now, even more superior than we as human beings. They're very intelligent, one of the more intelligent creatures of the aquatics. And they have been slaughtered for either their hide or the what they call the blubber, the fat portions, or maybe even for studies of their thinking capacities.
And that is so sad and so true that we as a species, we are the most destructive and we're supposed to be the most intelligent. And as Ken is saying, I think animals seem to be more intelligent than we are. We're the ones devouring each other of our own species. So
absolutely. You beat me to it there, because I was going to say we deem ourselves as the highest intelligent species. Although I do think if there was aliens looking down, I think they'd question that.
Right.
Personally.
I think so too, Sharon.
Right.
I think if they was looking down, they would question that. But there's one thing that we have in common with every species, and that is a wish to live a happy life and a comfortable life. And we also have something else in common with every species, and that's fear.
That's right. That's
Yes.
right.
You know, so, I mean, and these dolphins die such an horrendous death in Taji. It is unbearable to even think about. And it is that barbaric. They have now they hide the slaughter under tarps so that no one can see it, so it can't be seen, because there is activists there filming and streaming, you know, so that it is broadcast over the internet and Facebook and Twitter and everything else. So it's hidden. The slaughter is hidden because it is so barbaric. And you've just said yourself that these are sentient beings. These dolphins have intelligence, you know, and so they are aware. They are consciously aware of what is happening. They watch their whole family being slaughtered. And then the babies, they just dump them back in the sea.
That's right.
And the babies do not have any chance whatsoever.
No, they don't. They don't,
without
because
their family pod. So the compassion is just not there. There is no compassion, and that is what worries me.
Well, you're
with
right,
mankind.
Sharon. We don't have compassion for each other, because that's what, when Ken was talking about our other guest, Sangeeta, she's out of Canada, and she Skyped in, and she's doing this documentary called Gods in Shackles about how the elephants are treated, and she's raising funds on Indiegogo right now to get her documentary out. And it's so sad how we treat the animals, and if we don't, we treat each other inhumanely.
Yeah,
so.
Look at how we treat ourselves. We have death penalties and senseless shootings, as we've seen all over the world. And this is what is thrown out into the atmosphere, and it becomes the collective consciousness.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, what chance that, you know, as you say, what chance have the animals got? I mean, again, elephants, they're sentient beings, they're highly intelligent.
Yes.
What chance have these animals got when we haven't even got compassion for ourselves. I saw a quote the other day, and I thought it was absolutely perfect. And I'm just writing a blog myself at the moment, and I'm going to stick this in my blog because it was absolutely spot on. And just to say the quote to you, I have no country to fight for. My country is the earth. I am a citizen of the world.
That's right.
And I thought that was, and if we thought like that.
Say that again, Sharon. Repeat that one more time.
I have no country to fight for. My country is the earth. I am a citizen of the world.
That's right.
That's profound. And what
right.
we're going to do on that profound quote is take another quick break, and
Final
then we're
break.
going to be right back with some final thoughts from you, Sharon. And we thank you so much for Skyping in with us today. This has been an awesomely inspiring, empowering conversation.
I've thoroughly enjoyed it.
So
absolutely.
We'll be right back with some final thoughts from you.
Okay.
This edition of Aim to Purpose, the radio show, is brought to you by L. Hicks Consulting Services. When you want the best in business coaching, life coaching, or perhaps your organization, business, or company is in need of a dynamic speaker for an upcoming workshop or seminar, contact Louise Hicks for L. Hicks Consulting Services at 1-562-310-1495. From anywhere around the world, that's 1-562-310-1495. For more information about Louise Hicks and her consulting services, visit her website at www.louisehicks.biz. Again, that's www.louisehicks.biz. Or call 1-562-310-1495. L. Hicks Consulting Services, where professionalism is top priority.
Okay, world, we're back. I'm Louise Hicks again, and we're on the phone with Sharon Bull, who's Skyped in from the UK over in London. And Sharon, we want to get some final thoughts because we have to wrap the show up. We're pretty much out of time, but give us a final thought within, if you could wrap it up within, I guess, 90 seconds or so, what you would like to leave for the incoming year for our global guest, global audiences.
I would just like to say, well, one thing I would like to say is to wish everyone a happy, a peaceful, and a healthy 2015. I hope that 2015, there will be more consciousness, there will be more compassion, and that people will become more aware. And that's really more or less what I would like to say. And just to say thank you so much for having me on your show. I've really, really enjoyed it.
And we really thank you
Yes.
for Skyping in. And
Absolutely.
Kenan, you want to say
Yes,
something?
I just want to say, just to piggyback off of what you said before the break, you yourself are a beautiful woman, and we are all a part of this planet, what we would call planetarians. Or what you mentioned about the aliens in the sky, they call us earthlings. So when we're being reduced to being black or white or Latin or Asian or Native American, we're being that creates separatism. And when you have separatism, that creates chaos. We all live on this one planet, and we're all energetic structures of it.
I have just started writing a poem. It is larger, but I'll just read you just a few, just two or three lines.
Oh, sure. Go ahead.
It's just the start. It's not even completed, but just 2 or 3 lines. I'm writing it for a particular occasion next year. We are one, and when we are gone, remember this. We were born into this world just like you.
Beautiful.
And that says it all.
It says it all.
And with that, we want
Absolutely.
to thank you for being our special guest here on Aim to Purpose, the radio show, to close out 2014, going into 2015. And we want to invite you back to the show when your time and schedule permits.
Would love
That
to
would
have
be
you back.
That would be absolutely fantastic. Can I
And-
just wish you both a wonderful 2015 too?
And thank you so much. And we're going to close with one of your quotes. I always say my quote, but I'm going to close with a quote from your poem, There Is a Way, Sharon, because it's so appropriate with us going into 2015. And I'd like to wish everyone a happy new year, a safe new year, and a healthy and prosperous and loving 2015. And as I always say, your power lies within you. Let it loose. But I'm going to close with this quote from the poem, There's a Way. The right way is to love and let be. So with that being said, we will see everyone next year with our very special guest that we are going to bring in the year talking about healthy, and it will be Dr. Caldwell Esseston, and he's going to Skype in and join us, and we're going to talk about healthiness. And with that being said, let me quote that again. The right way is to love and let be. And until next year, have a wonderful, wonderful week.